It still is Hard Facts 92.3 Nigeria Info. Sam Oracle Chinedu here. A conversation for this hour is not rights consumer protection. Do you believe that your rights have been violated? More importantly, do you think that your interest is protected? Well, the body responsible for that is the FCCPC, as Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. The headline here is that the court has affirmed that that body, their regulatory authority, is across all sectors. Now here goes. The Federal High Court in Lagos on February 7 affirmed the statutory mandate of the FCCPC to regulate competition and consumer protection across all sectors of telecommunications. The judgment consolidated the Commission's as the pre-authority responsible for preventing anti-competition practices and protecting consumers in the country, in line with Section 17 and 18 of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Act of 2018. Okay, well, this is an update. But the big question is, why did the court rule? How did we get here? Well, usually, someone takes someone to court. So let me give you a background. The FCCPC announced that it was launching an investigation into consumer complaints against MTN and other private companies. Emeka Nubia, who is an MTN shareholder, was uncomfortable with the decision and decided to approach the court to halt the inquiry. He argued that such an inquiry could violate Nigeria Data Protection Act. Why should the FCCPC look into those details of the MTN? He also argued that the power to regulate MTN resided with NCC, which is the Nigeria Communication Commission, and not the FCCPC. So, Your Honor, my Lord, there's no issue here. Additionally, he said that the data requested by the FCCPC constituted personal data and could not be subject to disclosure. So we can't disclose these details. Well, the court dismissed his claims, affirming that yes, indeed, the FCCPC has statutory authority over competition and consumer protection in all sectors, including telecoms. The court found that FCCPC's request for information from MTN did not violate data protection laws. And then the decision confirmed that both the FCCPC and NCC share regulatory jurisdiction in the telecom sector. The ruling reinforces FCCPC's role as Nigeria's primary authority for competition and consumer rights. So I would say we are here because Mr. Emeka decided to take FCCPC to court. There are many more questions, as you can tell. I'm sure you have some. I have a million. But the man in the perfect position to answer these questions is Mr. Chukwuma Uchegbu. He's a zonal coordinator, FCCPC South Zone. Good day, Mr. Uchegbu. Thank you for joining us.
Good day, my brother.
How you doing?
Mr. Sam, fine. Good.
Thank you for making the time.
Thank you.
Now, officially, it says a shareholder of MTN took the FCCPC to court.
Yes.
But is there a part of you that actually feels like it's MTN that took you to court? Right?
Anyway, the lawyer, Mr. Nubia,
Yeah.
is an MTN shareholder.
Who represented himself, by the way?
Who represented himself.
Yes,
He's
indeed.
an MTN shareholder.
Mm-hmm.
So being a shareholder means that he has interest in MTN and the affairs on MTN and what happens in MTN.
Mm.
And what MTN owns is partly his.
Yeah.
Are you getting my point? So
Yeah.
if he's a shareholder, so the stake of MTN is part of his stake. So it means that MTN is...
If you look at technicality, MTN could come and say, we as a body did not come out. It's just one of shareholders.
Yes.
Right? They can even say his shares is not even that plenty. So
even if
he
he's
doesn't
one-
speak for... he doesn't speak for...
My brother, we know how these things happen. Anyway, I don't want to,
Yeah.
but it wasn't determined. That wasn't the issue for examination in court,
I understand.
right? Yes, but from my own human understanding and perspective, I know that the man has interest in MTN. So indirectly, MTN also has interest in his affairs.
Okay.
So let's leave it that way.
So, all of this started because the FCCPC said it was launching an investigation into consumer complaints against MTN and other private companies. What were these complaints?
Now, even in my zone here, we have a lot of complaints of drop calls.
Okay.
We have complaints on data that was bought that was not used.
Yeah.
You make calls, they keep you hanging, and after some time you are debited. Sometimes you buy data and you may not even be credited, and before you know it, it's over. And a lot of there are lots and lots, myriads of complaints. But what we try to do as a commission is to categorize the sectors where we have high consumer complaints.
Okay.
Because for us, what's interest is where are our consumers complaining? Where do they feel pain more?
Yeah.
I can stand here now to tell you that the highest number of complaints I receive is on power.
Okay.
After power is telecommunications.
Okay.
Now, we have tried to deal with some area of the power. Remember that there was a time when the electricity company said that they were going to change the our meters,
okay.
And that we are going to pay for them.
Yes.
But we said no. It is your responsibility. You own those meters. These people bought it from you, and now you want to change it. They paid. Most consumers paid for their meters. So now that you want to change it, you can't hold, because they were saying that they were obsolete. Now, if it's an obsolete equipment that you sold to me, it means that if you are going to change it, it's on you.
Yes.
So we in that area, we represented the consumers. The truth is that whenever we do anything, our major focus is what is the consumer's interest in this, because in it all, our own is to represent the teeming consumers of Nigeria. Maybe we don't understand it, but the essence of our representation or what we deal with is to represent and ensure that the consumer's interests are protected. So in this area of telecom, we are still sitting and saying that we want to ask these telecoms. It's not now why it looked as if it was MTN first of the whole lot is that we have more complaints
from MTN
subscribers.
Okay.
Probably because they have more consumer base anyway.
A larger market share.
Yeah. We also know we know the threshold of any sector of the economy, what the threshold should be. I don't want to dive into that or go into that, but I know that MTN controls a very large chunk of telecom industry.
I was going to ask about other companies, because the issue of drop calls and some of the issues you raised is not exclusive to MTN. I know people on other networks as well.
Yes.
So did the FCPC also launch an investigation into those other companies?
Not yet.
Okay.
The issue is that like I told you, we categorize these things where we have higher
volume of complaints.
We point to remember, even during December, I think middle part of December, we invited in the area of aviation, we invited a company.
Okay.
If you remember. In the area of banking sector, we invited 2 banks because we were having complaints more. It doesn't mean that the other banks didn't have complaints, but we invited 2 companies. Aviation, we invited one particular airline.
Okay.
In telecom, we invited because we feel that if you deal with a particular issue with the biggest of a company, the others will take a cue.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, the headline reads, FCCPC has statutory authority over competition and consumer protection in all sectors.
Yes.
That was the ruling.
Yes.
Before the ruling, what sectors were left out of your jurisdiction?
Actually, for us, there's no sector that is left out.
Okay.
But this section 104 of our act is very clear. But when you had controlled something over a long time, and there's somebody that have been given the authority to come and look in.
Yeah.
To those sectors.
Just to tell you, it's already there.
It's already there. In fact, section 104, I just want to read it. He said, the caption is regulated industries. Section 104 states clearly, notwithstanding the provisions of any other law, but subject to the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, in all matters relating to competition and consumer protection, the provisions of this act shall override the provisions of any other law. It's very clear. But it's just that, it's just like somebody coming to your space and saying, I need to live in this house with you. You say, where is this one coming from? When did this one start? So that's just... So, but Section 105 also states that regulated industries or have the right or are encouraged to approach us, not us approaching them, to approach us for an understanding, which will now come in the way of MOU.
Okay.
Before the ruling of Dr. Anu, the one that I was talking about, medical, you understand? Nigerian Medical and Dental Association also came to us for an MOU. And what came out of it is what we call today the Consumers Bill of Rights in Health. We now say, okay, now that we are here, let's bring out those rights that consumers have in the health sector. If I'm assessing any health sector, what are my rights? Because before it looked as if a patient didn't have any rights.
Yeah.
I didn't have a right to know the drug I'm being administered. I didn't have a right to know my history. I didn't have a right to, say a thing concerning what I'm going through. But consumers' rights in the health sector was now brought out. There was a compilation of different organizations, and we now came out and said these are the rights of a consumer in the health sector.
So, Uchegbu, that's a lot of MOUs you would have to sign with a lot of regulators.
Yes.
The latest being with the NCC.
Yes, we have done.
Have you signed with all regulators, or you're still looking forward to?
We are not the ones looking forward to. We know that we have the rights to.
Are you kidding right now?
Yes.
Oh
we are
goodness.
not the ones now looking out for, but they have to. We had a brush with Nigerian shipping. The regulator in shipping at a time, because we investigated shipping lines. They said, no, you guys didn't have. Nigerian Shippers Council. But when it also went to court, but just before they now came to approach us, and now we have a very robust understanding with Nigerian Shippers Council. In fact, their coordinator here is a very good friend.
Amazing. So we have a break. After that, we'll talk some more. Yes. But that at this time, one of the biggest and hottest conversations is around the pricing for telecoms.
Yes.
It has led to demonstration or suspended demonstration by the NLC and threats that they will be back. Mm-hmm. So after the break, we'll talk about the tariff hike in telecoms and other things that the FCCPC gets to offer the consumer. Please stay with us. Sam Oracle Chinedu here. My guest is still right here with me. He is Mr. Chukwuma Uchegbu. He's a Zonal Coordinator, FCCPC, South Zone. You're welcome once again, sir.
Thank you, sir.
There are times where Nigerians feel that the regulators, particularly the FCCPC, favors the corporations over the consumers. How do you feel about this? And of course, connected to the recent proposed telecom tariff hike.
Honestly, I feel so bad because our total essence of existence is for the protection of the consumer's interest. And whenever we look at issues, we always look at it from the angle of the protection of the consumer's interest.
Okay.
Now, coming to the recent tariff increase, I want to give you a small background history.
All right.
I want to let you know that the last time there was a little increment, in a tariff in Nigerian telecom industry was in 2013.
2013.
That's about 12.
Yeah, 12 years ago.
Right now, they've been seeking for increments since then, but recently they applied for 120% increment. But after much deliberations and things like that. And let me also let you know that before this increment, NCC and FCCPC had signed an MOU. Now, after that, there was this increment, but our own is that this telecom increase must result in service improvement. Okay. Because where we are having these complaints from the consumers is poor service delivery.
Yeah.
So we are saying that this telecom increment must, they must prioritize visible and measurable improvement in network reliability, speed, accessibility, and consumer service as part of any tariff adjustment. That's what we said. So we are not saying that because we have seen there's a lot of that of the equipment that can encourage them to do what we want, do what the consumers want, which is what the consumers are complaining. But what we are now saying that if there is an increment, it must lead within a specific time. That's why we are saying something that is measurable. Within a specific time, it must lead to improvement in service delivery. So they should use the extra cash to improve on the quality of their equipment, the quality of their service, so that eventually, because these consumers rely on this telecom industry for their personal and business activities. Most people, the activity 90% is on telecom. So there are some businesses that rely completely on telecom, and if the services are very poor, those businesses, I have a friend who came in from Canada over the Christmas period. The guy almost cried. He bought one of these 5G. Unfortunately, he came home, and because one of his brother was to be buried, so he had to be home for some time. So he bought some of this 5G because he has to also run his business. And it was within the period of payment of his staff. And there are a lot of tax if you don't pay, or penalty if you don't pay at specific times. But unfortunately for him, there was a lot of downtime.
Oh my goodness.
The guy cried. He will run from village, he will come to the town, he will try to, and the entire system was terrible. He was saying he was running away because his entire business depended on the telecom
connectivity.
Telecom connectivity. So what we are saying is that if such a person is to pay a little more,
he wouldn't mind.
He wouldn't mind.
Yeah, he wouldn't mind.
If he was to pay a little more and remain in his village and do everything and still meet his home and do everything he wanted to do, honestly, if he could pay even double, he would have. Because running to town and going back was also, the security issues were also there. Because for him to move, he had to go with police and all that. Are you getting my point? But if he was to relax at home, just go inside 1 hour, he will do all his work, and the thing is clean, it's sharp, he sends everything, and he comes out and he's still doing the every other thing. He wouldn't have minded. So what we're saying here is the increment, if it could lead which we are now saying, we are now giving you people a specific time to improve on your service delivery. If we now continue to receive complaints from our consumers, we now know that, you'll be held responsible and liable.
Okay, we have 10 minutes left on the clock. It's important that the listener is a part of this conversation. So this time will be dedicated to taking feedback. If you have questions, contributions, or complaints, please make them heard now. You said you went after the MTN because a large volume of complaints that you got was targeted at that network.
Yes.
How do people complain to the FCCPC? What are the channels? You have to take that quickly so we can take calls.
Okay. The easiest way here in South is through our handle.
Okay.
We have FCC South at fccpc.gov.ng.
Okay.
It's so easy. I assure you that within 24 hours we'll read back to you.
South at
fccpc.gov.ng.
That's email.
Yes, email.
Okay.
It's on low casing. As soon as you do that, our operators will see it within 24 hours. We get back to you.
Okay.
But then, if you also want to complain to Abuja, as far as it's something coming from South, they'll still give it to us.
Okay.
It's at www.fccpc.gov.ng. So, any of them you use, you are home.
Are there phone lines for text message, WhatsApp, or even calls?
Yes, we have.
Okay. While you're digging that, let's take some calls and read messages.
Okay.
0817-923-0002. Have your consumer rights ever been violated? And have you ever made a complaint to the FCCPC? Call me and tell me. 0817-923-0002. 0817-923-0003. WhatsApp is 080-903-06416. Please turn off your radio as you call. Good evening, Mr. Sam. Please ask your guests why customers have to be the one to buy and repair transformers for NEPA, and they will be collecting NEPA bill. What is the rationale behind this equation? Okay, Chukwuma Michael, you said there were lots of complaints from power as well.
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, today we had what we call mediation.
Okay.
With PHED.
So are consumers supposed to buy transformers?
No.
Because I know that happens.
No.
Okay.
Specifically, no. Now, even today we discussed this issue. The issue is that if there is a power failure as a result of transformers, the service provider are the owners of those facilities. So they are supposed to either repair or replace. But it has to be with an understanding that it is not immediate.
Oh.
But where I have any problem is that as soon as it happens, our consumers want it today, tomorrow.
It's so power now.
They consider themselves into
Mr. Uchegbu, you should understand. It's power. We need it. In fact, there's a particular time in my neighborhood that they are supposed to give us light.
Yes.
Yesterday they didn't bring it.
Yes.
Thank God you're here. I'm complaining because it's power.
Please come along.
Kemi calls from Chuba. Good evening, Kemi.
Good evening, Sam Orakwe. Good evening.
Good evening.
Please, I want to ask, what is the difference between this ICPC and the SON, Standard Organization of Nigeria?
Okay.
All the goods coming from overseas with low quality now compared to what we do have years back. So who is responsible for this to check what we are buying, even at an high price? What there should be, the quality should be there. They should please do something.
All right.
When you buy a cut of 25 years, now you are still 70 years in it and with high price. Why?
All right, thank you. So FCCPC versus SON, what's the difference?
Now, SON is a sector regulator. They regulate these industries. But what we do is to ensure that what SON, what is the regulation of a particular product is what the consumer gets. Now, she is saying that she paid for 25-yard cloth and then she saw 17 yards. Please complain. Don't murmur. Don't stay at your home to say, this is what we're seeing now. No, please, write to us. Come to us. I'll still give you the address, physical address here in Port Harcourt. As God will have it, our zonal office for South is here in Port Harcourt. Okay. Even though we are now planning to put 2 more offices in our
Nobody has to be Port I'm not bragging. Which other states in the South? It's River States now.
Don't.
No, we are the headquarters now.
Don't go there.
Because
there was something that happened. We had to take it to.
No, don't take it anywhere.
I mean, we had to take it when we did our
It's not engagement. Football. There's no need to take it to you.
I'll tell you why. Anyway, but what I'm trying to say is that, yes, there are sector regulators, but we're here now to protect her as a consumer.
Okay.
But the consumer, anyway, is not somebody that has bought something to sell it.
Okay.
By the definition of a consumer is any person that takes a goods or service for his own consumption.
The end user.
Yes, the
All
end
right.
user.
We're speaking with Edward shortly. Let's see if we can take this message on WhatsApp. Good evening. I love what the FCCPC stands for, but the problem is it takes very long for them to respond to issues. I reported a problem to them I had with Konga online shopping. Their response came many months after the issue had been resolved. Ben Cherished from eWarfare. So time. He's speaking to time.
Okay.
Good evening. I'm disappointed with FCCPC supported the telecom tariff increase without consulting the people. Olu J says, I literally have 3 minutes, so I must take Edward's call. Hello? Hello?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, I called in this is my first time.
Okay, thank you for joining
I was
us.
listening to the program. So I listened to the man at the station when he said with the increase in tariff, that if there are complaints from the customers, they will hold the network providers accountable. I felt bad being a Nigerian to hear that.
Why?
Some of our government officials should please talk to Nigerians with some respect and some conscience. Should it not be the other way around, that they should get their acts right first, and then it becomes a justification for tariff increase? Why would somebody come to the station and make such comments? It's an insult on the sensibilities of Nigerians. They should consider that this country belongs to all of us.
Okay, Edward, there was a bit of confusion with what the problem was. Did you get his question?
Yeah, yes. I told, before I made that comment, I told you that there's a little background. At the background is that the last time
there was an increase.
Increase was 2013. So we are not saying that yes, it should continue to go up, but we are saying that those facilities, do they have the capacity? It's an investment. Remember, it's somebody's. So where is he going? Where is he going to get the money to improve those? If he's saying that what I get now is not enough to pay my staff, remember that within that time, from that time to now, the increment in petroleum industry is more than 30 times. Are you getting my point? And they still run diesel.
Okay.
The increment in the price of dollar Nigerian naira has
inflation and all of that.
So inflation has gone in so much. So what they are saying is that how can we improve our facility
if we don't
have money?
Okay, Ms. Uchegbu, we are down to the final minute.
Yes.
Give us the channels once again for people to lay complaints. And very quickly,
yes,
is there a time frame? Someone's saying it's taking the FCCPC too long to respond. So what is your official time frame that I should expect a response? And what are channels that I can complain through?
The law says that it should be as quickly as possible and reasonable, so that the consumer does not also suffer loss. But the issue is that at times, because of delivery, because if you complain to me, if you have an email, within 24 hours you get my mail. Okay. But what if the person you are complaining against I don't have it, or you didn't provide an email? Okay. It means I have to write a letter, and I have to depend on Nigerian delivery service to do that, because we don't charge. All of our services are pro bono. It's free. Okay. Are you getting my point? Yeah, so if I'm going to now send a letter to, let's say, Lagos, I have to email, what do I call that? Go to the post office, use their a little higher email.
It has to be an official posting.
Yes, it's a posting, and I have to also receive a delivery note.
Oh, okay.
Are you getting me? So some of those things are considered, but where I can handle those things these days, I even do mediation on WhatsApp. I engage every party. If we feel that there's a huge distance, within 2 days we convoke a meeting on the net, and either through Google Meet, WhatsApp, or any other means, we meet. So what we are trying to do is that we are reducing. In fact, in our last management meeting, we said that within 2 weeks you must give us a reasonable reason why such complaints have not been. But we are improving. Seriously, we're improving.
I expect you to say that, of course, you're the zonal coordinator. So you should defend, you will defend the organization. Very quickly, the channels to complain.
I had said before, the best thing always is not to call. If you call, we may not have to record it, but the best way always is to either you bring your letter hard copy to our office. Our office is at 16 Hastrop Street, Elegbam Orazi, Link Road, here in Port Harcourt. 16 Hastrop Street, Elegbam Orazi, Link Road. Or you complain through our email, which I said is south@fccpc.gov.ng, and it is lowercase in all. Or www.fccpc.gov.ng. If you enter our national platform, it will do a form, fill it. And if you from
community email or call, where can use that phone also.
Yes, 234 30 0 234 20 090 234 so if you mean
thank you very much. We appreciate. I'm saying further.
Just one finally is that we are now of every service that is ahead of people should register when you're doing you business managers, and that is happening with this of instead of you're going to Abuja money. So those things are done.
God bless you.
God bless you.
All right, major news complex after that. Open sale with us.